Let's be real, guys. Call of Duty isn't what it used to be. What was once a franchise defined by fair competition and addictively fun gameplay has turned into a frustrating mess of rigged matchmaking, cheaters, and bots pretending to be players. But what's really going on here? Is skill-based matchmaking and engagement-optimized matchmaking ruining the game? Is Activision using bots to mask a shrinking player base? And most importantly, can this once great franchise be saved? In this video, we're diving deep into the truth behind Activision's most controversial decisions and what they need to do before it's too late. So stick around, because this isn't just another rant, this is a fight for the soul of Call of Duty. And with that said, Happy New Year 2025. So go ahead and hit that like, comment and subscribe button. Unless, of course, you're a bot trying to fake engagement. I'm just kidding, but who knows? Maybe the bots are already watching the YouTube videos and they're just waiting for their orders to click. And I hope everyone stays healthy in 2025, and I'm very excited to see what this year has in store. And let me start by asking you this. Have you ever queued up solo, casually wiping the floor with your opponents, only to pause and wonder, was that even a real player? And what if I told you that wasn't just a theory? What if those easy kills and lobbies where you would get railed over and over again were part of a bigger plan? So let's break down why some developers and Activision might be flooding your matches with bots, and not as a glitch, but as a deliberate, calculated move. Solo queuers, just like me, are casually playing, we don't want to sweat our way to the top, we just want to have a good time. So why not let us feel like MVPs sometimes by sprinkling in some bots here and there, because it's not about showcasing our skill, it's just about feeding our egos, because happy players come back. And for companies, it is like retention over reality. And have you ever noticed how matchmaking is lightning quick, even when the game seems like dead, because of the Steam numbers and all that stuff that we have? It's because bots keep those queues snappy. There's no waiting times, and when there's no waiting times, there's no complaints. But think about it. If the only thing stopping you from realizing the game's population is dwindling is a bot lobby, what does that say about the state of the game? Because this sounds like fast lobbies, fake competition. Again, this is only about engagement and player retention. And here's the part no one wants to hear. Bots aren't just about faster games. They're part of a sales strategy. Crushing matches and feeling unstoppable, that's no accident. It's easier to justify buying that shiny new skin or battle pass when you feel like you're the best guy in the lobby. It's all about feeding your ego and draining your wallet at the same time. Older games and games that do not perform very well in general don't just quietly fade away. And developers mask the drop-off in players by filling matches with bots. And it's not just for the players, it's for the headlines, the investors, the illusion that the game is thriving. But if a game needs bots to stay alive, I don't know if it's really alive at all. It's just like hiding the decline of the player base. And solo queue is tough. And you're up against squads with voice comms and years of synergy, and bots are the great equalizer. They make the game feel balanced, but I don't know if this is really balanced, because I think it's another way to keep you hooked, without you realizing it. And again, this is only about engagement, so it's like an illusion of being fair, because you never know how the next game plays. And think about it this way: what if I told you that every match isn't just a game, it's a test. Bots lets developers experiment with new features or mechanics and algorithms. So you're not just playing, you're part of an experiment you never sign up for, and in the end we are all lab rats testing some algorithms and bots. And maybe you've noticed that solo queue in general feels off, and that's by design, because if solo play feels frustrating, you're more likely to grab friends or join a squad. So guess what? Squads stick around longer and tend to spend more money, and the game somehow tries to push you to play in squads this way. But games like Fortnite and Apex Legends openly use bots, right? And Activision even has patents designed to tweak your in-game experience for one purpose: to keep you hooked, engaged, for you to come back and to spend money. And this isn't just a theory, it is happening right now. And now to the question, is Activision hiding something? Because silence speaks volumes, Maybe you've noticed how Activision never comes out and flatly denies accusations about being rigged, having rigged matchmaking, skill-based damage, but instead they give us sanitized corporate public relation nonsense. If they've got nothing to hide, why not just show us how the system works? And their vague responses don't clear the air, they just thicken the fog, and transparency isn't hard unless you've got something to lose, if you ask me. And patents don't lie. Activision's patents for engagement optimization systems are no secret. They outline ways to manipulate matchmaking, to keep players hooked, and let's be real here, to sell more microtransactions and bundles. But the issue is, they claim these systems aren't really in use, But if the gameplay feels like the patents read, why do these patents exist at all? And if you ask me, either they're using them or they've invented incredibly specific systems just for fun. And the community knows better. Players aren't buying the corporate spin anymore. We have data miners, YouTubers, and frustrated gamers because they're all piecing together patterns that are just too consistent to ignore, if you ask me. This good game, bad game cycle, it's just not really random, there's a pattern. And whether it's skill-based, engagement-optimized matchmaking cranked to 11 or whatever it is, maybe it's something more sinister. And we're trying to connect the dots that Activision hopes we will overlook because somehow they think we're stupid. If we talk about bots for a second again, they're in solo queues, in ranked games, and everywhere in between, in every game mode. And they're not just filler to keep lobbies moving, they're there to distract us from the cracks in the system, guys. The dwindling player bases, engagement metrics, and a dying sense of competitive integrity. And bots aren't the solution. They're just like a cover-up, Bots are like the invisible opponent. And it gets really shady when people start asking the hard questions. Activision doesn't answer, they just silence. They ban accounts, you have DMCA takedowns, or straight up ignoring the conversation at all. We have NDAs, and if there's nothing to hide, why the aggressive shutdowns? Silence doesn't clear a name, it screams guilt. It is like shutting down the truth. And we also may never get real evidence. We have logged algorithms, and Activision keeps matchmaking systems logged tighter than I don't know what. It's legal for sure, but it is not transparent at all. Then we have cherry-picked data, any stats they release are just to fit their narrative, so to say, and we'll never see the full picture. For example, saying, yeah, we've banned 19,000 hackers in the last days or whatever. Who says that this is real? And also, last but not least, we have high stakes. Admitting to rigged systems could shatter a lot of trust and tank the player base and open the door to lawsuits. And they have everything to lose by coming clean, so to say. If they are so innocent, why not explain how matchmaking really works? Transparency could fix this overnight, literally, but instead they patent shady systems, dodge all the questions and shut down people who raise some voices, some concerns. And the patterns that the players experience, they line up a little too well with those infamous patents. And if you ask me, at this point, it's not on us to prove anything, because if Activision controls the data and refuses to share it, the only logical assumption is they've got something to hide. Which brings me to my next topic, the so-called two-boxing fix and the sudden surge of bot-filled lobbies, because Activision's silence on these issues isn't just frustrating, and the more they sidestep these questions, the more obvious it becomes. Something's deeply wrong. So let's break down why this reeks of damage control and what it says about the future of gaming. And what if this game was never truly about player versus player combat? What if the real goal was to create the illusion of a thriving community? Because bots have been part of the system since launch, and not as a backup, but as a deliberate feature to make lobbies feel full. And take the infamous level 1 bug. We've all seen them, these low-level profiles that move like AI and not real players, and they're silent, erratic and painfully predictable and weird, to say the least. And if this was just a bug, Activision would have fixed it by now. But the truth is, these bots aren't a glitch. They are the plan. They are a feature, and the community isn't buying it. We gamers, we aren't stupid. Every time someone points out some bug or something else on Reddit or Twitter, the response from Activision is radio silence. And I just ask myself, why? Because acknowledging the issue confirms what players have suspected all along. Those opponents you're battling, they're not real. And these erroneous blood visuals and all that stuff. But I don't know, guys. And worse, these bots aren't just filling gaps. They're tilting the balance of matches and inflating engagement stats. Because this isn't just matchmaking, this is pure manipulation. And it's insulting to players who thought they were signing up for real competition. And we can't deny the truth. The player base is collapsing, and losing nearly half of your active players in a single month isn't just bad, that's horrendous. And bots aren't just a convenience anymore. They're like life support, And with fewer players, the matchmaking becomes a nightmare. One game you're stomping what feels like brain-dead opponents, and the next you're up against a squad that just feels untouchable. You just get railed. And these inconsistencies aren't random. They're a desperate attempt to keep the game from falling apart. And we could assume that Activision will never admit to using bots or rigging matchmaking. And here's why. Coming clean would obliterate what little trust remains. And this backlash, guys, that would be crazy. Because for them, silence is safer than transparency right now. Because admitting to bot-filled lobbies and engagement tricks would confirm the worst fears of their own community. And this game isn't about fair competition. It's only about keeping you invested in an illusion. What's happening here isn't just a minor issue, so to say, with bots or bugs, It's the collapse of a system that never built on honesty, so to say. And from day one, this game was designed to inflate engagement stats, not nurture a genuine competitive community. And now that players are catching on, the cracks are impossible to ignore. And now I want to talk about how Activision might save itself, because, guys, Activision is skating on thin ice right now, and the cracks are getting louder, and the gaming community's faith is at rock bottom. And without a drastic turnaround, this could be the beginning of the end. And I know, the solutions are painfully obvious here, but the real question is, does Activision have the guts to pull it off? The truth is, the damage is already done. We have bots, rigged matchmaking, the bugs, rush releases, and everyone knows, and denials and that public relations stuff won't cut it anymore. And the first step is simple but brutal, They have to admit that they screwed up. But imagine the shockwaves if Activision publicly said, guys, we messed up and here's how we're fixing it. That kind of honesty could be the first step to redemption. They also gotta show us the receipts, so to say. If Activision wants trust, they need to earn it. They have to lay it all out, explain how matchmaking works, maybe showcase the anti-cheat in action, and prove you're actually paying attention to player feedback. And transparency isn't just a buzzword here, it's like the bare minimum. And if there's nothing to hide, then just stop hiding. They also gotta go back to the basics, ask themselves what made Call of Duty a household name, because it wasn't flashy skins or convoluted mechanics. It was simple, polished gameplay. We had 3-lane maps, we had solid gunplay, progression systems, and competitive matches that felt fair and rewarding, and forget the half-baked features rushed out to meet deadlines. They don't make sense, because we don't want more, we want better. This is what they have to understand. Obviously, fix the goddamn anti-cheat. This is embarrassing. Activision is a multi-billion-dollar company, yet smaller studios are running circles around them when it comes to anti-cheat and server stability. And it's so funny, because if indie developers can handle this, Activision has no excuse, because cheating destroys games and players are tired of being ignored. And they also need to start listening, like, for real. I mean, it's simple, but just listen to your community, not just the whales dropping cash on microtransactions, but the core players who've been there from the start. If the community hates a feature, don't double down on it because it performs well. Respect isn't earned by ignoring your audience. It's earned by showing you care more about players than your profits. One thing they also have to get rid of are manipulative systems like skill-based and engagement-optimized matchmaking. And Activision seems dead set on these systems, to rake in short-term profits, but the issue here is that satisfied players are worth way more in the long run, and I don't understand why they don't see that. And it's simple, fair organic matches are what keep players hooked, and when the outcome of a game is determined by actual skill and not an algorithm designed to toy with your emotions, players feel like they're making real progress, and when players are engaged, they stick around. And more time in the game means more money, spent on skins, battle passes, DLCs, whatever. And it's that simple. Like, frustrated players quit. I mean, look at your player base, and satisfied players invest. And I would argue if I would enjoy the game, I would have bought the battle pass. And trust is everything that they have left now, because players know when they're being manipulated, and trust me, the players do know. This is why they leave. And just imagine if Activision flipped the script and prioritized fairness. When players feel respected, they're happy to support the game because you have no shady systems, no smoke and mirrors, just solid, honest gameplay. Now, hear me out, guys. What if the game was genuinely fun and rewarding? People would actually recommend it to their friends, and you wouldn't need flashy ad campaigns, because free marketing is the best marketing. It's word of mouth and it's priceless. A bigger, happier player base means more organic growth, and all it takes is creating a game that players want to talk about. Also, the competitive integrity is on life support thanks to SBMM and EOMM, and right now skill-based accomplishments feel hollow because the system is rigged to keep everyone engaged. So if they get rid of these systems and real skill shines again, I would argue that esports would thrive, and creators would flood back to Call of Duty. You would have more buzz, that means more players, and more players mean more revenue. And it's a cycle Activision could dominate if they would just stop sabotaging themselves somehow. And nobody sticks around for laggy servers, rampant cheating and matchmaking that feels like a setup. Fix the core issues and the frustration turns into loyalty, because a smoother, more rewarding experience doesn't just retain players, it converts them into die-hard fans. Fans who keep playing, keep recommending, and yes, keep spending money. And I get it, SBMM and EOMM might boost profits in the short term, but they alienate the players who actually care. These are the players who would stick around for years and would probably buy every game. So they gotta build trust, build fairness, and build stability. And that's how you create a game people love, and that love translates to loyalty. And loyal players guarantee consistent revenue without the need for manipulative tricks. In conclusion, happy players spend more money. And this isn't rocket science, it's simple. So they have to get rid of the rigged matchmaking, they have to fix the anti-cheat, and give players servers that don't feel like they're from the Stone Age. They gotta focus on fairness, respect, and overall stability. They have to build a community again, not a casino. And that's how you win back players. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Activision is too addicted to quick profits to see the bigger picture. But I don't know. What do you think, guys? Could they ever make these changes, or is this just wishful thinking? And that's actually it for today. And that's the reality of what's happening behind the scenes. We have bots, rigged matchmaking, and a community being taken for granted. But what do you think, guys? Can Activision turn it around, or is Call of Duty too far gone? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because as always, I want to hear your take. And if you're tired of the same old excuses and want to see a real change, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and share this video with your friends. And together, we can hold the industry accountable. Until next time, guys, keep fighting for fair play, and see you in the next one.